Alright guys, I have been noticing a few common mistakes that you are making when using Inventor. So I'm going to walk through a few of the quick tips on how to fix some things that might be going wrong for you. So first of all, the number one issue I've been seeing is you guys lose your object and slightly panic. If down here you are seeing Hexagon Cam, see where my cursor is, down in the tabs, I have multiple projects open. Okay, you can see the name of the project and the file type. If you hover, you can also see a little screenshot of each of my projects. So what I want to be in is my Hexagon Cam, so I'm exactly where I want to be. And if I know I'm where I want to be, then I just click on the home button. And it'll snap my object right back into view. Another common thing I've been noticing is when you guys accidentally get rid of, I don't even know how you guys are getting rid of this one, to be completely honest, down here. But how to get it back is you go up to the top, click on View, and then you go over to Windows, User Interfaces, and then these are the different options. So if you would click on View Cube, my View Cube would disappear. If I want my navigation bar back, I click on it. If I wanted a mini toolbar added, I would click on that. Alright, so here's the status bar, the docking tabs, the model. If you wanted any of this to be added or removed, this is where you do it. Now, if you wanted to quickly click on these without having these options open, you could do the navigate through here as well using these buttons. Now, quickly on the functions of your mouse. When you have a scroll with your mouse, if you click on your scroll, you can drag it around. If you control click with your scroll, you also drag it around. Right now there is an option to orbit, which if I click on my orbit, see this circle how it appears. This is how it's going to orbit and what it's going to orbit based upon. Right, so if I go back to home, you can still click on your cube, View Cube. Click on orbit again. If I wanted to orbit about the center, then I'm going to click here and I'm going to find that it pulls from wherever I pulled from. A lot of you struggle with finding that to position where you want it. Focus on where you click. Where you click is what matters. Alright, now I'm going to go back to my home view. And I am going to go back to where I can just click and I don't have to worry about it. So I double click. Alright, now also I want you guys to notice that you can click on each of these corners. You can also click on sides to view the object. So when you are adding constraints or adding anything, trying to work with your product, even when you have another dialog box open, you can still be moving your view however you need to be moving it. And then let's say that you have it here and you want to rotate sideways. You notice that these boxes appear, so this one will rotate 90 degrees to the left, this one 90 degrees to the right. This one will show me to 90 degrees from the right, which is the back, the top. Alright, one other thing, when you guys are extending your work planes, I've been noticing that you accidentally just move them all around. So if you see me hovering here, I'm hovering over work plane 1, notice that I have a 4-headed arrow that pops up right now. If I were to click and drag right now, my work plane would move. If I slide it over just a little bit more to get more towards the dot, you see that is a 2-headed arrow. That's going to allow me to extend it rather than move it. Okay, so when you're trying to extend your work planes, you want to hover over it until it gets that 2-headed arrow. You don't want to move with a 4-headed arrow or you're going to move it in 4 different directions. Alright, when you extend this one, it works the same way. It's just easier because there's only 2 directions to move it in. Now, one of the last things I want to make sure that we talk about is understanding the navigation between the windows up here. When we are in a part drawing in a 3D model, we will most often be working in this section when we're dealing with holes or work features. Now if we go up to the sketch plane, this is where we will be if we were in a new sketch. So if I went right click, new sketch, now we would typically be dealing with the sketch tab where we deal with constraints, making lines, circles, fillets. Make sure that you are always finishing your sketch before you do anything else. You need to finish your sketch to extrude or do any other part of your drawing. Now, annotation is just as it sounds. This is where you can add dimensions to your object. It is different than adding constraints. Okay, remember, constraints are setting your dimensions to a certain set of size. And so if you wanted this radius to be a certain radius, you would have to do it within that sketch and with a constraint. Now, if you wanted to just annotate it, you would go under annotate and put however you want it, which would be probably general, dimension, you dimension it. Also, I want you guys to notice that in your browser window over here, if you hover over each of these objects, you're able to see what you are hovering over because it highlights over in your application window, graphic window. So here you see my hole in the hexagon is highlighted. So if I click on the arrows besides the hexagon, you will also see the sketch, the original sketch that I created. You right click, you cannot see my window right now, unfortunately, but if you right click, you can see the different options that you have. You can do things like if you wanted to delete it or if you wanted to edit it. If I wanted to edit this one, I would right click it and go over to edit sketch and I could jump back into that sketch. Also, if you had done an extrusion or if you had done, say, if you were in an assembly and you had done some sort of constraint or attachment, you could right click and edit that as well and jump into it. So this works in any one of the views. You're going to navigate through your browser to find different elements of your design. Alright, and lastly, I want you guys to see how all these windows are just hanging out here, just like if you were to have 10 to 15 windows open in Chrome. It works the same way. So now I have minimized them all, and now I would have to maximize them back in order to be able to see them here. I have to click on them. And down here you can see an arrow for me to switch through them. I'm able to click on each one of them. Notice that I can also view my bars and my windows in a different method. So if you wanted to see more than one window at a time, say you wanted to see your assembly and your final assembly at the same time, then you could have both of them open with the cascade, the tile. If you wanted 4 of them, you could do the cascade or more. You'd have to move them around. Or the tile horizontally or vertically allows you to keep 2 of them open. This would probably be the most easy to look at. You, of course, could flip between which ones you wanted open with that arrow. Alright, I think that about covers it. The only other thing I can say is make sure that you save often, and then also make sure that you title, as we've talked about, make sure you title everything that you work in under a name that identifies it to the activity. That way we can keep track of them. And also, let's look at the home screen. One quick thing I want you to notice about your home screen, if you have the standard home screen like I do, you can do a new part, a new assembly, a new drawing, or a new presentation all from the home screen. You could also do it from going to this drop down and clicking the one you want anytime you're in another open file. But the one really nice thing about here on the home screen is that you could click in to see some of your most recent files and open them, then see where they're saved to. Alright, I hope that answers all of the common mistakes or common mistakes we've been having lately. One last thing is when in doubt, save, close it, and reopen it, and sometimes it can just be a glitch in the system. Alright, thank you.